time.
But I'm saying, I don't hear you addressing the gospel.
Well, these people here should know the gospel already. This isn't...
The people that walk across the street, right there, they're just walking across the street. People that see you in these houses, they just see you.
Sure, and my main goal here isn't to reach people with the gospel. My main goal right now is to reach Christians, supposed Christians, with this message of help the children. I do go out in the streets and preach the gospel all the time. I'm a street preacher. So I use the gospel to address the sins of this nation. I go to strip clubs and I preach against the objectification of women, you know? I preach against pornography on the streets. I preach against fornication on the streets. I go into the inner city of Chicago sometimes.
Outside of your organization, on your personal side, that's what you do. But within the organization, you just basically preach against abortion.
Well, no, I mean, there's not really much of an organization. We're just a group of people that does this work together. We're more of a movement.
churchrepent.com, abolishhumanabortions.com.
Right, those are websites for a movement. We're not as much like an organization where there's like leaders who are have these certain positions and they have certain things they're supposed to do and people have to follow them, you know, and they get paid and stuff like that. It's just groups of people.
You're not a nonprofit LLC.
No. Yeah, we're more just like groups of people in the nation, like abolitionist societies, where we're just Christians. We do this work together. We organize on Facebook and we say, hey, we're going to go out here and do this at this time and come join us if you want, you know. So, yeah. So
we just want you to, not that we fight against abortion, because that's without question. But my position is that it makes us look as though to the public that we don't support abortion or much like anything else. We're just a church of apathetic people concerned about what happens in-house and not out-house. That's the way it looks. So
okay.
I would say in the future, even though you said you had opposition from other churches, some churches may be with you.
No, I know they are.
I
can't call 1,000 and use that perfect and then maybe 3 respond well, because
three is strong.
So
you can do a lot with 3. Like you said, every church has a particular purpose. You may find those 3. Yeah, let's get out here and support what you guys are doing.
So what practically is this church doing to try to abolish abortion?
As Pastor Steve said,
change lives.
Change lives?
Yeah.
In what way? Like what practically are you doing?
The root. Right. The root. I think the root is huge. And
You're talking about sin?
Sin, and the sin problem, but the solution for the sin is Christ.
Right.
And Christ, a relationship, I think that's the start. Getting the relationship. I think the next thing is really to grow and become a disciple of Christ. Because a lot of people may call the name of Jesus, and but then talking about walking in it and living after it is huge. So getting a relationship with Jesus Christ is definitely important, but building that relationship with Him.
Yeah. And are those people being discipled in how to rescue people from death? Are they being taught about how to be a voice for the voiceless?
Life to death, and all kinds of death. Abortion, out here in this world, violence, drug addictions, life to death, the kingdom. We were preaching the kingdom.
Okay,
we preach the kingdom.
But we have tons of churches across the nation.
We're talking about this one right here.
Who are like preaching Christ, but they're not changing the culture by making it very clear what's happening to preborn children. And so
we change lives, so that's part of the culture.
Right, so but it's obvious that the failure to teach people specifically about abortion is having an adverse effect, because people are still believing that abortion isn't that bad because churches are not specifically addressing it as murder. They're not acting like people are actually getting murdered when they're addressing abortion. So that we need to address it specifically and bring the gospel into conflict with it specifically, so that those people, even there's going to be a lot of people who will never believe the gospel, right? But we can still convince them that abortion is wrong, and that will save their child. They will turn away from murdering their child, even though they didn't believe in Jesus Christ. So that's why we also have to address abortion specifically. to educate the non-believers who will never believe in Christ, but they will come to learn that abortion is evil because of the work of the law written on their heart and the God-given conscience that they have, you know? So.
And the problem is, like a lot of Christians, a lot of pastors say we just got to preach the gospel. The problem is, when you go to the abortion mills, I've heard this time and time again, that they see Christians with crosses. They're not Christians, but they'll see Catholics with rosaries. They see religious people who even have church stickers on the back of their car going in to murder their children.
Sure.
And so it's like, what's preaching the gospel got us? It's got us out to the abortion mill to murder our children, and there's no Christians on the sidewalk. That's what I say time and time again.
I understand completely. As Pastor Steve was stating, getting the relationship is key. And getting into the hearts of people is key. Because while they're making the decision, we can be talking to them about good choices, bad choices, of any sort. Life, death. So the active part of what we can be doing is having that relationship. So when they decide to make a decision, Christ lives in me. I won't make that decision. Good, bad, bad and ugly. I won't make that decision. So, because a lot of those people, Christian bumper stickers or not, when they park their car and walk into that clinic, their mind is really made up. Probably 99.99%, they're going to push past you and go in. Why? Because you don't have a relationship. So the key in order to stop an abortion is to have that relationship. Teach them what Jesus Christ is all about. Make sure that Christ is living on the inside of them, that governs their decision making, so they know that's not a good choice.
It is good to make relationships, but in addition to that, I think we need to be reaching like thousands upon thousands of people on a regular basis with the truth about this.
Sure.
To change the cultural mindset.
Sure.
So that, you never know who's going to see one of these signs and then that's going to turn them away from murdering their baby,
Yeah.
Like that people, when they see these, they turn away from murdering their children. And if they get pregnant in the future, they may think back on what they saw and they're like, hey, I saw what abortion does to a child. I don't want to do that to my baby, Like, there's thousands of kids being murdered every day.
Effectiveness of it is I just don't agree with the effect. I understand the position, but the effectiveness of what I see, when I see stuff like this, it doesn't change my mind. It gives me a gross intent, but it doesn't change my mind.
Well, it changes some people's minds.
But the other thing is, just like you're passionate and you're passionate about this one issue, and you say pornography, you talk about sometimes, and
fornication, sexual sin.
Yep. And that's what you focus in on. We take it from not just dealing with the fruit, but trying to deal effectively with the root and changing life. But
right. Part of dealing with the root is addressing the fruit specifically. Making it clear that this.
The gospel, we do that too.
Yeah. That's good. And we have people that do all that kind of stuff too.
Yeah. And just think about this for a second. If we were to take the position on any category of sin and say, you know what, some churches, they don't participate in human trafficking. The people in the church could be subject to it. It could be happening in the church. Let's stand in front of the church with our human trafficking signs and say, get with us. I think that's counterproductive.
No, I think that'd be awesome. Like if I had a church and people showed up and did that, sure. I'd be like, awesome. People who care about justice, people who want to do something in the community. Right. Let's see how we can join them.
Exactly. So, case in point. Yesterday we went to, I think it was Calvary Church, did a human trafficking demonstration over there.
Yeah,
got those people out of the church, as was somewhat assumed apathetic, out of the church.
Yeah.
They went in the neighborhoods and they preached the gospel, talked to the people, had people receiving Christ just yesterday.
Good.
Again, our approach was partnership. Maybe they don't know as much as we know about this specific thing that's going on in Satan's kingdom, but let us go out, let's get some partnerships going. So I would assert to you, or to encourage you all to say, do the same thing, because again, when I'm coming out of church, I'm like, we just hit the streets yesterday.
We got to do, we should do it most days, right?
So why not come and say, hey guys, let's hit the streets?
We send this one, but most churches just say get lost and then call the police. So if we spend hours a week doing that,
sure,
most of it will be a waste of time. We wouldn't get anywhere. Sure. Because we don't know the churches to reach out to. We don't know which ones are going to actually have a heart for God and love their neighbor.
Sure. Well, now you know, right?
Well, we know this one's always involved in stopping human trafficking, which is good.
More than that. That's just one subject that I brought up. Just
and
one subject.
Violence.
we're not
It's a whole lot more.
like
Fornication,
to
pornography,
preserving human life.
homosexuality.
It's more than just this. It's a whole other category, a lot of other categories that needs to be addressed. We're world outreach, as he said. We go out to the world. It's a whole lot of categories that we address.
yeah, and we should prioritize the needs of the people in our community and allocate time and resources according to the level of need. So I think like mass murder of orphans in the community should be a really high priority, and then like we should spend a lot of time and effort fighting that, right? Because they're in the most need, and other people who have lesser needs, we should give more, like less time and energy to those, right?
I would push back on that. I think poverty. Look in this area. Poverty, killing of human lives, incarceration of men, families, fathers. I think that's huge.
It is.
So I don't know if I would necessarily feel in this neighborhood that I think it's way more. It's important. I think poverty is important. Visiting dealing with the homeless, dealing with those that's in prison, come visit them. What about orphans, foster care?
Right, these are orphans who are being murdered.
But there's other orphans too.
But they're not about to be murdered.
Pure religion, undefiled before God,
right,
is to visit the fatherless,
right,
the fatherless, and and
at
the
Planned
widows,
Parenthood,
and keep yourself. But it's not just Planned Parenthood.
Right, I'm not saying that. But many people are neglecting Planned Parenthood.
But I'm saying you might be neglecting the other community too, the other ills of this community.
A lot of people are addressing those other things, and a lot of people are not dealing with the mass murder. Like, those people aren't about to be murdered. These people are. This is more urgent.
It's people right around here being killed.
But do you know when and where exactly?
All around here. All around here. Look at the area.
Like, do you know when it's going to happen? Do you know, like, at this time, at this place, they will get murdered? I don't think so.
You got to get them before. You don't want to wait till
right.
So you got to be proactive.
Right. You got to get them before, and you got to get them when it's happening. We have to try to.
Christians are doing a terrible job of that. They're not showing up at the abortion mills.
We're talking about right now this area in Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and the othermost parts of the earth. We're talking about this community.
Right.
And in this community, poverty is high. Drug infection, incarceration is high. People are killing themselves. It's life and death there. So it's a whole lot of life and death. So I'm just saying, when you gonna help and join us with that? Human trafficking. Okay, absolutely. We would love to have you.
I just quit drugs too.
Okay, absolutely. And God will change lives. And that's life, death too. And that comes with a relationship with Jesus Christ. The true lasting freedom comes with a relationship with Jesus Christ. And that's the answer to all social ills. I believe.
I'd say that probably the number one killer of.
We have a lot of professing Christians murdering their children. They say, I'm a born-again Christian. You have to go into Planned Parenthood to murder the child. Yeah, they got the gospel and they're still murdering.
But some of them believe they're Christian and they truly haven't had a transformation of their heart.
They're false.
Right? So that's a whole different story. That's a whole different story.
So
the American gospel.
The number one.
I'm not talking about the biblical gospel. I mean, most pastors who put that out there, the gospel they're doing is a false gospel. They're creating false converts that go to Planned Parenthood. And so, I mean, if we preach the biblical gospel, then this person will hopefully get saved. And if they get saved, they won't murder their child. Sure. But you have a lot of false converts going into churches that go to the abortion mill the next week and murder their child with a cross and their windshield and their car.
That's back to what he said, though. A lot of people who confess Christ are not really with Christ.
Yeah,
those who have, because I think it was a Barna survey, said that like 20 or 30% of people who confess Christ believe that there's a Holy Spirit that resides in the inside. So that means 70% of the people that you're mentioning could be walking right past you. Could be the people that you're mentioning right now. But the 30%, of the people is walking the true gospel of Christ. When you see the gospel, it's living inside of them. You won't see them at your abortion clinics, maybe, because obviously our journey through life, we make a lot of mistakes. We make a lot of bad decisions, even with the Holy Spirit living on the inside of you. So again,
and the thing to think about is the number one killer of people in this area is probably birth control. It's probably hormonal birth control. So think about how you're going to address that. Think about how you're going to educate the community about the hormonal birth control that is murdering children.
you know, but I think it's all the thief comes but to steal, kill, and destroy. And he's definitely stealing life, but he's also stealing human life that's been born. You know, so
Yeah.
I get the fact you want to keep the life of somebody of a child that's need to be born. I get that, but I also would challenge you on the fact that we also need to take care of and keep the life of people that have physical life and breath in their bodies.
Well, these children have physical. These children have physical life in their bodies.
It's not an either or.
Okay, right.
Proposition. It's a both.
Right.
You should be passionate about that.
But these are the people who it's legal to murder them. You know, so they're in more danger than any born person.
And their murders are tolerated by Christianity, by our society. They're tolerated and ignored. So of all the people in this culture, our preborn neighbors need our help the most, because most people do not accept human trafficking as a good thing. They don't accept drugs as a good thing.
Well, some in our society, in American society.
I know some do, but a lot of people, they know it's evil. But abortion, you have people celebrating it, supporting it, and ignoring it by most Christians. That's why it's more of
I'm pro-life.
urgency.
So, everybody don't support abortion. And then I believe there's a lot of pro-life people out here.
But they're not. But most pro-life people aren't doing anything to abolish abortion. They say I'm pro-life, I'm anti-abortion. Yes, but what are you doing?
So okay. So what are you doing to abolish abortion?
Doing a lot.
To me, changing lives and the direct customers of it is the number one way. Changing lives, but also policies. Voting.
Right.
And voting in line with your values is important.
That's the thing, because as abolitionists, we're very different from pro-life people.
Sure.
We don't support pro-life legislators who regulate abortion. There's a lot of bills they pass, or like laws they try to pass, that basically tell people when, where, and how they can kill their children. But people think they're a good law. They think they're going to save some babies, like a 20-week abortion ban or a heartbeat bill. They pass those with good intentions, but in reality, they're doing it because they're not trusting in God, they're not obeying God, they're not doing what they should do, which is write a bill that would completely abolish abortion in every stage of life without exceptions. And then if the Supreme Court says, no, you can't do that, just ignore the Supreme Court, and we can do that at the state level.